In the quiet suburbs where manicured lawns hide seething resentments, one homeowner's day turned into a nightmare when the HOA changed his locks while he was at work. But they had no idea he was the genius who coded the entire community's security system, and payback was about to lock them out for good. Welcome to another wild HOA horror story that'll make you question every neighborhood rule. If you're not subscribed yet, hit that button now and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next petty property drama unfolding in real time. And drop a like if you've ever dealt with a nosy Karen next door. The sun rose over Willow Creek Estates, a gated community where every blade of grass seemed policed by invisible eyes, and Alex Thompson pulled out of his driveway in his reliable sedan, heading to his tech job downtown. Little did he know that by evening, his home would become the epicenter of a brewing storm. Alex had lived in Willow Creek for 5 years. A software engineer by trade, quiet and unassuming, the kind of neighbor who mowed his lawn on schedule and waved politely at passers-by. But beneath that facade lay a man who had single-handedly designed the community's state-of-the-art security system back when the HOA first installed it. Cameras, smart locks, automated gates, all intertwined in a web of code only he fully understood. The HOA board, led by the iron-fisted Karen Wilkins, had no clue about his involvement. They saw him as just another dues-paying resident, one who occasionally pushed back against their endless nitpicking rules. Karen, a retired accountant with a penchant for power, ruled the board with an agenda of perfection, finding residents for faded mailboxes or unauthorized flower beds. Her latest target? Alex's front door, which she deemed non-compliant due to a minor scratch that violated the aesthetic guidelines. Warnings had been issued, but Alex, buried in work deadlines, had brushed them off, assuming it was just another empty threat. That morning, as Alex merged onto the highway, Karen assembled her team, a locksmith she'd hired on the HOA's dime and 2 board members eager to enforce order. They arrived at Alex's house with tools in hand, the locksmith drilling out the old lock while Karen stood watch, her clipboard clutched like a scepter. By noon, the new lock gleamed in place, a shiny symbol of her authority, and she pocketed the keys, planning to hold them until Alex paid a reinstallation fee and signed a compliance agreement. The neighbors whispered from behind curtains, some sympathetic, others relieved it wasn't them. Alex, oblivious, spent his day debugging code at the office, his mind on algorithms and firewalls, not the literal one now barring him from his own home. As the afternoon wore on, Karen returned to her own pristine house, smug in her victory, emailing the board about the successful intervention. She imagined Alex's shock upon arrival, perhaps a groveling apology or a hasty check to make amends. But Alex wasn't the type to grovel. His expertise in systems extended beyond computers. He knew how to navigate bureaucracies, and this intrusion ignited a spark of calculated fury. When he pulled into the driveway that evening, the sun dipping low, he tried his key only to find it useless. Confusion turned to realization as he spotted the HOA notice taped to the door, citing violations and demanding immediate contact. His pulse quickened. This wasn't just petty, it was illegal trespass. He called the non-emergency police line, but they dismissed it as a civil matter, advising him to sort it with the HOA. Frustrated, Alex retreated to his car, pulling out his laptop. That's when the idea struck. The security system. Years ago, when the developer hired him as a consultant, he'd embedded backdoors, emergency protocols only he could access, designed for maintenance, but perfect for this. Logging into the hidden admin portal via his phone's hotspot, he began probing the network. The cameras around the community flickered to life on his screen, including those overlooking his own property. He rewound footage watching Karen and her cronies at work, their smug expressions captured in high definition. Evidence in hand, he decided not to confront them yet. Instead, he initiated a subtle override, testing the waters by remotely unlocking his new door with a custom command. The click echoed satisfyingly as he entered his home, but this was just the beginning. Over the next few days, whispers spread through Willow Creek, strange glitches in the gates, lights flickering at odd hours. Karen dismissed them as technical hiccups, scheduling a maintenance call, unaware that Alex was the ghost in the machine. He spent evenings in his study, enhancing his control, mapping every node in the system. The HOA's next meeting loomed, where Karen planned to parade her triumph over Alex, but he had other plans. As tension simmered, a minor incident escalated. A board member's garage door refused to open, trapping their car inside. Coincidence, they thought, but Alex smiled from afar, his fingers dancing over keys. The community bulletin board online buzzed with complaints, residents questioning the HOA's competence. Karen, feeling the pressure, doubled down, sending Alex a certified letter demanding payment for the lock change, threatening liens if ignored. Alex ignored it, instead delving deeper into the code, uncovering forgotten features like automated alerts and lockdown modes. By week's end, he had compiled a dossier, not just video but logs showing unauthorized access to his property. He contacted a lawyer friend, laying the groundwork for a lawsuit, but revenge tasted sweeter through technology. One night, as Karen hosted a board dinner, the community's entrance gate malfunctioned, stranding guests outside. Phones rang with frustrated calls, and Karen's authority cracked slightly. Alex watched via camera feeds, his plan unfolding layer by layer. The chapter closed on a tense note, with Alex finalizing a master script that could paralyze the entire system if needed, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. As the HOA remained blissfully ignorant of the storm brewing from within their own walls, the glitches escalated into chaos as the days turned into a week of mounting frustration in Willow Creek Estates. Alex, now fully entrenched in his digital fortress, monitored every anomaly he orchestrated, ensuring they traced back to plausible deniability, aging hardware perhaps, or a software update gone awry. Karen Wilkins, sensing her grip slipping, rallied the board for an emergency session in the community clubhouse, a sterile room adorned with plaques of past achievements like uniform mailbox installations. She pounded the table, insisting on hiring a new security firm to overhaul the system, oblivious that the original architect sat just blocks away, sipping coffee and tweaking parameters. Alex's workday routine masked his nocturnal activities. By day he coded for clients, by night he coded retribution. He started small, recalibrating motion sensors to trigger false alarms at Karen's house, jolting her awake with blaring sirens that the police chalked up to wildlife. Neighbors grumbled about increased dues to cover repairs, unaware of the puppet master. One particularly vindictive board member, Tom Hargrove, who had seconded the lock change, found his smart sprinkler system dousing his prized rose garden at midnight, drowning the blooms in overwatering. Complaints flooded the HOA email, with residents demanding accountability. Karen, her perfectly coiffed hair fraying at the edges, fired off accusatory messages to the current maintenance company, threatening to sue for incompetence. Alex intercepted those emails through a mirrored server he'd set up years ago, chuckling at her desperation. He decided to up the ante, accessing the community's shared Wi-Fi backbone, a feature he'd implemented for efficiency, and introduced selective throttling, slowing internet speeds for board members during their Zoom calls, causing pixelated freezes and dropped connections. The irony wasn't lost on him. These were the people who preached order, now unraveling in disorder. As the second chapter deepened, Alex's lawyer advised gathering more evidence before legal action, so he continued his subtle sabotage. A community event, the annual barbecue, turned disastrous when the pavilion's lighting system short-circuited, plunging the gathering into darkness just as Karen took the microphone to boast about enforcement successes. Attendees scattered, some laughing nervously, others muttering about cursed leadership. Karen blamed faulty wiring, but doubt seeded among the ranks. Alex, attending incognito in the crowd, overheard whispers of rebellion, petitions to oust the board circulating in hushed tones. He fueled the fire anonymously via a throwaway account on the neighborhood app, posting screenshots of the lock-changing footage blurred just enough to avoid identification, but clear enough to incite outrage. The post went viral within the community, likes and comments piling up, questioning the HOA's overreach. Karen's response was predictable, a mass email denouncing fake news and threatening fines for spreading misinformation. This only amplified the backlash, with more residents sharing their own HOA horror stories, unapproved paint colors leading to harassment, arbitrary fees for holiday decorations. Alex's home remained his sanctuary, the new lock now under his full control, symbolizing his reclaimed autonomy. He expanded his operations, integrating AI elements into the security code to predict and preempt board movements. If Karen's car approached his street, streetlights dimmed ominously. Paranoia crept into her daily life. She started double-checking her own locks, installing personal cameras, ironic given the system's betrayal. The board's attempts to fix things backfired. The new technician they hired couldn't crack the encrypted layers Alex had fortified, recommending a complete replacement at exorbitant cost. Debates raged in meetings, budgets strained, fingers pointed. Alex's satisfaction grew, but so did his caution. He documented every action in encrypted logs, ensuring his tracks were covered. One evening, as storms rolled in, he triggered a simulated power surge, knocking out the gates during rush hour, stranding commuters in the rain. Horns blared, tempers flared, and social media outside the community began noticing Willow Creek's woes, with local news picking up on gated community glitches. Karen's phone buzzed incessantly with demands for resignation, her once unquestioned rule crumbling. Alex pondered the endgame, knowing escalation could lead to exposure, but the thrill of justice kept him going. He reached out to sympathetic neighbors, forming quiet alliances, sharing tips on bylaws loopholes. The chapter wound down with the HOA on the brink, Karen isolated in her echo chamber, while Alex prepared his final reveal, the code poised like a guillotine, ready to drop and expose the fragility of their manufactured control. The climax dawned on Willow Creek Estates as fractures turned to fissures, the community's facade of harmony shattering under the weight of orchestrated mayhem. Alex Thompson, the unassuming engineer, had transformed from victim to vigilante, his code the weapon dismantling the HOA's tyranny, bit by bit. Karen Wilkins, now a shadow of her former authoritative self, convened what she hoped would be a decisive board meeting, proposing draconian measures like mandatory audits of all homes to restore order. But attendance dwindled. Board members cited technical issues with their emails and calendars mysteriously glitching. Alex watched from his laptop, having rigged the clubhouse's AV system to loop feedback during her speech, turning her words into garbled echoes. Residents, emboldened by the anonymous posts, showed up in force, demanding transparency about the lock incident and the escalating failures. Karen deflected, blaming external hackers, but eyes narrowed in suspicion. That night, Alex executed his masterpiece, a full system lockdown initiated at midnight. Gates sealed shut, cameras went dark, smart locks engaged across communal areas, trapping the clubhouse in isolation mode. Panic ensued as early risers found themselves locked in or out, phones lighting up with emergency calls. The police arrived, but without override codes, they could only advise waiting for dawn. Karen, roused from sleep, raced to the scene, her keycard useless against the fortified protocols. She pounded on the gate, her composure shattered as neighbors gathered, some filming the spectacle. Alex, feigning surprise, joined the crowd, offering help by revealing his past role in designing the system. Gasps rippled through the group as he explained the back doors, demonstrating on his phone how he'd been countering the HOA's abuses. The footage of the lock change played on a projected screen he'd remotely activated, irrefutable proof of trespass. Accusations flew. Lawsuits threatened, resignations demanded. Karen's denials crumbled under the evidence, her board abandoning her like rats from a sinking ship. By morning, the system reset under Alex's guidance, but the damage was done. Local media swarmed, turning Willow Creek into a cautionary tale of HOA overreach. Alex's lawyer filed suits for invasion of privacy and property damage, seeking not just compensation, but dissolution of the current board. Elections were called with reform candidates, many Alex's allies sweeping in on promises of leniency and transparency. Karen, humiliated, sold her home months later, moving to a non-HOA suburb where her meddling went unnoticed. Alex emerged a hero, his tech savvy celebrated, though he downplayed it modestly. The community healed, rules relaxed, neighbors bonding over the shared ordeal. Glitches ceased, security enhanced legitimately under new management. Alex returned to his quiet life, his code a silent guardian, a reminder that power unchecked invites its own undoing. In the end, Willow Creek stood stronger, a testament to one man's stand against petty despotism. Locks changed not just on doors, but on the chains of arbitrary control. Thanks for sticking around for this epic HOA takedown. If you enjoyed the twists and turns, smash that like button, subscribe for more property drama stories every week, and drop a comment below with your own HOA nightmare so we can feature it next.